decades, we've heard promises, committee sittings, constitutional review panels, and reform proposals. Yet here we are still asking the same question. When will the local governments in Nigeria truly be free? The Constitution calls them the third tier of government, which I have rightly said should be the first, looking that they are the closest to the local government and to the grassroots. But in practice, many of them are nothing more than administrative appendages of state governors, stripped of financial control, stripped of authority, and ultimately stripped of relevance. This isn't just a legal debate, it's a fight for grassroots development, for responsive governance, and for real federalism. Because how do we talk about democracy when the government closest to the people is also the weakest at this point? Well, why does every move towards the local government autonomy feel like a well-choreographed dance with no destination? And more importantly, who is really afraid of an empowered local government system? Welcome to Politics Uncensored, the show where we cut through the noise and dive straight into the heart of Nigeria's political pulse. Today, we focus on a long-standing constitutional debate, local government autonomy, a topic that resurfaces every time we talk about governance restructuring, yet somehow remains unresolved. This conversation is as important as anything that we do in life, and our goal will always be to provide a platform for open and honest discussions where experts and everyday citizens can share their perspectives and insights. It's your favorite show, and we have two expert guests who will be joining us very, very soon. I'm your host, Okikiola Taiwo Jalukmo. You can call me the polyhumanitarian, and I'm here to make political discussions accessible to us all. We want to hear from you because all of our episodes are all about you. So be a part of the conversation every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to add your voice to these discussions. You can also head on to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. Hit that subscribe button, like, share the link, and also invite your friends to join the show right now. If you want to call us, our phone lines are open to you. You can call us on 070-2500-7749 and 070-1424-2420. Let's hear what you have to say. We'll go on a break right now. We'll return with our guests and take our top stories in the political space making headlines. Do not go anywhere. You are still watching Politics Uncensored, and today we're here to discuss the local government autonomy and the constitutional review bid. As the latest constitution review efforts gain momentum, we ask, will this be the moment local governments finally get full autonomy, or are we witnessing another political marriage designed to distract rather than deliver? Why do governors continue to hold tight control over the local government funds, and what are the implications of these for grassroots development? And can true federalism ever thrive without an empowered local council? Joining me today are two guests with sharp insights and bold views. We have Olajide Ologun, a legal practitioner and national development advocate. We also have Dr. Ambrose Igboke, who is a political analyst and chairman, Guild of Public Affairs Analysts in Enugu State. Welcome, Dr. Ambrose and Olajide. Do I have Dr. Ambrose here?
Thank you. Good to be here.
Amazing to have you, sir. So before we go into our topic for today, let's quickly look at what's making headlines in the political news today. And I would love your insight while I read the story. And then on one story, we had the Constitution Review, still talking about it, Uzodinma OT differ on state creation. The governors Hope Uzodinma of Imo State and Alex OT of Abia State have expressed differing positions on the creation of more Southeast states at the public hearing of the 1999 Constitution Review for both states held in Owerri on Saturday, while Uzodinma called for the creation of 2 additional Southeast states to address what he described as an imbalance in the current system. OT differed and raised concerns over viability and sustenance. According to the Imo governor, additional states from the Southeast will promote equity and justice for the Igbo people and also address the perceived marginalization of the region. He said every other zone has 6 or more states. The imbalance has led to underrepresentation in critical national institutions from the National Assembly to the Federal Executive Council. He said that it has also shrunk their voices and abridged their inclusivity. Therefore, it's only fair that and just that they asked for the creation of at least 2 additional states in the Southeast. Uzodinma particularly called for the creation of a named state, saying it will boast of an oil-producing status upon creation and more local government areas. It also advocated conferment of ingenuity on non-indigenous who have lived in a state for 10 years. He said we need to legally define ingenuity by birth or long-term residence, says 10 years or anyone who was born in a state or who has lived in a state for upwards of 10 years should be a legitimate indigene of that state. This is common practice in advanced democracies. It was also becoming the norm in our pre-First Republic years until that republic was cut short. How else did Malam Umaru Autumn become the mayor of Enugu in 1952, if not because he was accepted as an indigene of Enugu? Well, furthermore, Uzodinma advocated the rotation of power among the 6 geopolitical zones rather than just between the North and the South, which we have commonly seen over the years. He said, I wish to call for the constitutional entrenchment of rotational presidency, not along the ambiguous North-South divide, but along our 6 established geopolitical zone. But moving ahead of that story, Governor Oti of Abia State, who was represented by the Deputy Governor, Ikechukwu, expressed concerns that additional states will overstretch Nigeria's limited resources, but called for inclusiveness. Oti said, I am aware that proposals for the creation of 31 new states were received by the National Assembly prior to this time. I respect the rights of those who believe that creation of new states will address concerns of marginalization and exclusion of some ethnic and religious groups in the current structure in some parts of the country. But Oti have said he's more concerned about the additional burden these proposals, if adopted, will add to lean resources of the nation through multiplication of administrative costs and further bloating of an oversized bureaucracy. He said quite a number of things here, but I really want to know from Oti saying something and the Imo governor saying another, it seems like these two are both from the Southeast and they still have different perspectives about the state creation. And that's part of the conversation that we're having today. So Dr. Ambrose, what did you think about this story? And would you say that you're on the side of creating more states, which in the proposal is 31 extra states, or you would agree with Alex Oti at this point?
Well, state creation in Nigeria has never been done because of economic enhancement or economic viability. It has always been purely political. And that is why state creation has not reduced poverty. State creation has not improved capacity, both at the state and federal level. State creation are just mere professionals. Well, you can argue that because of state creation, some hinterlands that might not have had inclusive development would have been left in the lurch. You can find out that apart from the state capital, basically, of most of the states, existing states, the other parts of the state are just going by. They are not very strong. When we look at the reason for state creation, remember that in independence in 1960, we had 3 regions. We had the Eastern region, Western region, and Northern region.
Yeah.
Then in 1963, the Midwestern region was created. So we now had 4 regions. By the time the coup happened, the first military coup in Nigeria happened on January 15, 1966. The UNCENSORED, who emerged the military leader, proscribed the arrangement, the economic arrangement that was existing between the regions and the federal government. That was when economic viability was promoted, because the regions had some semblance of economic, freedom, and were paying to the center. That was why we practiced fiscal federation. But UNCENSORED ended all that and introduced what we call a unitary system of government. where just like what they have the military, where command and control were centered, were central. And that we had that. Then if you see the first state creation happened in 1967, 29th May, just at the verge of the Nigerian Biafran War. Gowon used that for political reasons. Because the eastern region, which was made up from current southeast and south-south states right now, basically apart from what you call the Bender state that time, was just East Central states. You know, there were from Enugu to Calabar. You know, all the areas, you know, including rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa side, and all those things. But he created 12 states in 1967 just to ensure that the eastern region did not remain monolithic. That was just the reason why he created those 12 states. This was not for any economic reason. We came back to 1976 when 7 more states were created by the Murtala Mohammed administration, where he created the Anambra, Imo, and some other states, which made the states 19. We had in 1987, 2 extra states were created by Babangida, Katsina and Akwa Ibom states. It made it 21. And by the same, Babangida also in 1996 created 9 more states, including Delta, to make it 30 states. Then by the time Abacha came in, he now created, no, there was a state creation. 1991 was when 9 states were created. Then in 1996, 6 more states were created to make it 36 states we have. When you check all this historical evidence I've given them, you find out that there was nothing about economical reason. It was all purely political. We want to have our state. We want to have our own identity. We want to have infrastructure. So what did we do? We just got to develop a state capital and leave the rest. How many states truly have, you know, viable cities economically? Now, most of them don't. As we speak now, we have 36 states in the country. Only 3 can do without the federal allocation every month. The remaining 33 are not economically viable. So apart from Enugu, Rivers, and Lagos, what are the rest doing? So they go to Abuja every month and look for federal allocation. So rather than state creation, what we'll be talking about is how do we practice the correct fiscal federalism? The only zone that should have a state is the southeast zone, because it is the only disadvantaged zone. So for the purpose of equity and fairness, most other states have, most other zones have 6. The southwest, northwest has 7 states. Then the remaining 4 has 6 states. Only southeast has 1. So it is the only zone that is economically disadvantaged politically in that regard. So what the federal government should do, let the southeast people meet and bring out 1 state that can be added to the 36 states to make it 37, so that everywhere can have 6 states plus the southwest, northwest that has 7 to make it 37. And after that, we should address the issue of people going to Abuja every month to collect federal allocation. We should go back to what we had in the, during the regions between 1960 and 1966. Remember, it was only that you can see the economic advancement in Nigeria between that period that I mentioned. Most of our big universities were built that time. UNN, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, University of Ibadan, University of Lagos, University of Ife, ABU Zaria, and so many other things. The Cocoa House in Ibadan was built that period also. It had granules, pyramids, and leather, being economically valuable for export in the north. We had the cocoa in the south west, and then we have palm oil in the east, doing well as major economic exports. But what did we do? We destroyed all those things. Then we came to states, had a unitary system. Even the state police were that clamoring for and all those things. So everything became a military-styled democracy. That's what we are practicing. We have not deviated much from the military. And Alex Oti was correct to say that he's just going to, bludgeon the, economic scale of the bureaucracy, because a new state, we have a new governor, we have commissioners, we have 3 House of senators, we have House of Assembly members, we have House of Reps members, we have new local government chairmen, and we have a retinue of aides and all those things. So money that is meant for development will also just be wasted. And remember that we are all collecting from the federal allocation. So when you have more states, the resources thin out, and states will be collecting less. And remember that as we speak, most of the states cannot even do any projects because most of their budgets, annual budget, goes to recurrent expenditure for paying salaries. And as we speak, many states are still owing salaries.
Absolutely.
So why are we just moving around in circles without really advancement? The federal government, if they really want to change for Nigeria, to introduce fiscal federalism, where they should remove many things from the exclusive list, especially economic activities from the exclusive list, just focus on some. Because I don't see reason why oil should be, tapped from Niger Delta, taken to Abuja, and shared to everybody. That means we are not practicing democracy. That what we are practicing is welfareism. What we are practicing is what Russia has communism, socialism, where Russia and the rest have even abandoned after experimenting with them. So if we want to practice socialism, we should do, but we are practicing a little bit of democracy, we are practicing a little bit of capitalism, we are practicing a little bit of socialism. We are confused on what we want actually. And these are the symptoms of confusion that have been driving us and wanting to have 31 states request so that we'll have 60-something states. Are we now becoming, our states becoming local government? So it's a tragedy that we have more important things to think to drive our nation forward, but what is bogging us down is how to have more states.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ambrose. And I would say I agree with you to the extent of certain states should only have an extra state because of the reasons that you have stated. And this marginalization has been an issue that we have had over and over again. A certain group of people will say that they feel underrepresented and marginalized, and therefore they require a new state without any plan whatsoever to increase IGR or anything of that sort. So yes, I agree with you, and I also agree with Alex Oti at this point. While fairness is very important, we also have to be very strict about the future forward Nigeria. But that's all that we can take on the political news for today. We'll go on a break, and then of course we'll return with our hot topic for today. So don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Thank you for staying tuned. If you just tuned in, you are still watching Politics Uncensored, and we are here to discuss the local government autonomy and the constitutional review bid. Of course, we still have Dr. Ambrose here and Olajide, who just joined us. Olajide, welcome. Can Olajide hear me? Okay, I think this is quite a number of network issues. Do we have Dr. Ambrose here? Okay, so I'm going to read a story from Fashola on his perspective about the creation of, extra state. And I think that this conversation is quite a tough one because for people who have felt marginalized over the years, our guest said that everything is political. All the creation of states have been political from the beginning. And he walked us through how long that has been. And it's quite a story if we really look at it, and how certain groups of people have, claimed that they are more represented than the other, and certain groups have also been aggrieved of the representation of their states in Nigeria and their role in the National Assembly and other forms of government. And Fashola here is also saying that it's unrealistic to expect autonomy from local governments. He, a former Minister of Works and one-time Governor of Lagos State, as everyone will know him, Babatunde Raji Fashola, has opined that it is unrealistic to expect autonomy from local governments created by the Constitution, adding that they were never meant to be autonomous. And that's a very strong statement from the one-time governor, saying that states were never meant to be autonomous. But looking further into that story, he says for decades, debates have raged over the autonomy of local governments and whether there are constitutional provisions that grant such autonomy. So while speaking at a TV station, the former minister stated that he arrived at this conclusion after reading the Constitution. He says, as it stands today, it is unrealistic to expect autonomy from local governments created by this Constitution. And this is a conversation that we'll continue to have as, you know, the topic continues to develop. But we have Dr. Ambrose here right now. But I would like to know, sir, from a political standpoint, what's truly at stake in granting the local government autonomy? Fashola said that local government was never meant to be autonomous. So I would like to know what your standpoint is as regards the conversation.
One of the problems we have is that this constitution that we are operating right now is actually patterned to resemble the command and control structure of the military, where the command, you know, trickles down from the center, from the top, and is rigidly held. When you go to military or armed forces formations, that is what you see, both in the police, the military, and the rest. So the kind of borrowed that into democracy, because they were the ones that wrote the constitution that we are having today, which was written during the time of Abdul Salami Abubakar, who was in a hurry to hand over. And there was no proper consultation for the Nigerian people. Though the constitution says we, the people of Nigeria, I don't know how many Nigerians they consulted before writing that constitution. So we didn't have the referendums, we didn't have even the constitutional conferences we did. Most of the things were not, you know, incorporated into the constitution. So the constitution has, we just said, okay, let us even manage what we have to kickstart the democracy. But unfortunately, we are just be doing piecemeal. You know, every president that have come since 1999 is afraid to actually rejig the constitution to give us another constitution that can, you know, take it. You can see that even little things as defining the tenure of a governor was not even in the constitution.
Absolutely, yes.
Took a Supreme Court. Remember Peter Obi when he was governor in Anambra State? He was sworn in, and before he completed his 4 years, INEC had to conduct another election in Anambra State. And they said, no, my tenure has not. They said, no, your tenure ends with other governors. And then he had to go to the Supreme Court. It was the Supreme Court that now gave him the judgment that now said that, no, your tenure starts from the day you were sworn in. You know, such little things. Look at the one that happened in 2015 when President Abubakar of Kogi State won an election, and then it was waiting for inauguration, and then he died. Constitution had nothing to say about that. So you could see that those things that need to be taken care of was not even taken care of by the Constitution. Then another aberration in the Constitution was that it listed the local government area, listed the states. I think the local government area should have been left as a local thing, as the name suggests. It is a local government, it is local. And that could have been left for the states to determine. Honestly, if you ask me, if a state wants to have 100 local governments, it's the state's business. So far, every state should have a unique, you know, something, a peculiar arrangement that suits their purpose, because every state don't have the same problem. All the states don't have the same problem. All the states don't have the same challenges. All the states don't have the same resources of internally generated revenue. So allow the states to, like a Lagos State, for example, that has just 20 local governments with all its population. And then we have the Kano states that have 44 local governments. Now, Lagos went ahead to create 37 new local government development areas that was rejected by the government, federal government, that even caused a lot of attrition between the President Olusegun Obasanjo and Governor Tinubu that time. And then we're not asking ourselves, why do we leave creation of local government to the state? It's the state that understands the problem of its local people. The man sitting in Abuja does not understand the problem of a local government in Bayelsa or in Kano or in Jigawa or in Enugu. He doesn't understand it. The same thing with state police. An IG sitting somewhere, appoints IG, appoints commissioner. You know, these things will not work for a vast country like Nigeria. And that is where we have been having our problem. So I align with Fashola that we need to change this constitution. And for me, the direction we should go is that the federal government should hands off. Because why the federal government is involved, the local government, is that they're using local government to share revenue. They're using local government to determine a lot of things at the federal level. And this is very wrong. And that is why there was a clamor to have large local government, depending on the power of the people who were ruling that time, mostly military people, to just bunch local government areas. I start wondering, is it the land or is it the people that constitute, Nigeria per capita income and the rest? It's not the land, it's the people. Therefore, we can jettison the system that suggests that all of us will collect something from the sovereign subnational, take it to Abuja, and everybody will come and share from it. No, share what you can produce. For example, if you say you're not taking alcohol in your state and it is banned, why should you take money from the people paying tax in alcohol from where it is consumed? So these are the hypocrisies, for example. You tap oil from the Niger Delta, and it's a federal government property. There's gold in Zamfara. It's not federal government property. So some of these things, we need to look deep into what it is now clear that solid mineral is not they are national assets and should be treated the way oil in the Niger Delta is treated. So who owns the oil wells in the Niger Delta? Go and take a look. It's spread across all the nooks and crannies of Nigeria, people from various states. But who owns the gold mines in the different parts of the north? Whether somebody from different places own it. So these are the imbalances in the constitution we are talking about. So my own is that instead of saying, oh, we have 774 local governments and divided, move federal government creation to this to the other concurrent list. In fact, just don't even do it in concurrent. Leave it for the state government. Don't let federal government not even legislate on that. Then state government can now sit down. And in many of the local states now, they have what you call development council areas, just because the local governments are not enough. If you go to the north, for example, a local government is so vast in its land mass that you need to travel some hours to cover one local government. So it doesn't serve the purpose. But if you leave it on the state government, for example, you can say, okay, we have a large population. This place is more for farming. Then you cannot, create those things to suit their purpose. But when the local government is being used to get national cake from the center, they will start distorting the reality. So that is the problem. Even trying to say fiscal autonomy for the local government, it won't work because it's not even working right now. Even after giving money, the state governors have a way of going around and so. But if you give this local government these resources to the states, and the states have the resources, let the people of the state be the ones to tackle their own state governors and state institutions to create local government for them. And then they can have some ways of doing the political locally. Because when you say it is local government, it should really be local and not, legislated from Abuja.
I remember very well, Dr. Ambrose, that a lot of people clamoring for local government autonomy has come not just from the federal government, but from the idea that the state government has been the one suppressing development in the local government areas, and the money, because of the joint accounts that has been created for them, has strained them from doing what needs to be done. So the random local government chairman will say, oh, I really want to do this, but I couldn't, get the fund from the state governor because for some reasons of the other, I wrote a letter, I wrote an application for the constituency, but didn't get it. So it's more like a fight between the state government and the local government at this point. And people have likened the local government areas to, or local government council chairs to, puppets in that sense of the state chairman, and they're not actually elected people. But they are driving for development in this sense. Do you think that full autonomy will automatically translate to development at the grassroots, or is it simply, a power transfer, or maybe just aggrieved people who are more interested in gaining financial grounds than in, making sure that their constituency works in alignment with what the state government is doing?
Oh, well, for now, what we have is still not much has changed. The functionality of the local government is still dependent on the personality of the governor. If a governor is very democratic, if a governor is interested in grassroots development, the government, allows the local government area chairman to work. If a governor, on the other hand, is autocratic, if a governor, on the other hand, does not care about what is happening in the grassroots, then the local government chairman don't function well. So no matter what you do, there's that grip on the local government because of the way the Constitution places the local government. And that's why I say we should look at the whole Constitution to see where do we really place the local government, and see how either to strengthen it or to now put it in a way that it should be, practically at the state level, so that the states will know what to do with their various local government. And even now, some of the residual list functions of the state government, of the local government, for example, markets, burial ground, some of those little things that are there, the states are still controlling it. The local governments are not, they're collecting taxes in the market, billboards, shops, so there's still a clash. But when the state government is in charge of all those things, and then there are laws made by the local, by the state houses of assembly on creation of local government and how they should function, then the state will know that every money that comes there, they will use it to fund the local government. And then the development is now, we now really know that development is centered on who is the governor. And then the people can start asking questions. But this one, we are confusing everything, saying, oh, the money is coming from Abuja, is going to local government account. The local government chairman will say, oh, the state government is collecting money from us. All kinds of accusation accounts. So it's giving the state government, the local government chairman, actually, excuses to work, not to work. If you go to many states, they will sit there and say, instead of talking about what they do, what they are doing in their locality, they were talking about what the governor does. Meanwhile, currently, a lot of the local government chairmen have a lot of funds with them because of the direct financial input they get directly from the federal government now. A lot of them have money with them, but most of them are not doing anything. So it's a confused and a complex scenario that we really need to look into the Constitution and see how we can mitigate the disaster and see how to move forward from it.
Thank you, sir. I think that your landing statement is what we should be looking at. One problem we've really faced in Nigeria is the act of accountability and transparency, more so implementation. I've told many people at times that we have enough policies in Nigeria to guide us to do quite a number of things. The issue is with implementation. The issue is always with reviewing what seemed not to work anymore. It's almost like there's a stronghold on what it is in the past. Well, we're going to go on a break, and then when we come back, I'll ask what roles you think that young people can play, especially in the system of local government autonomy and in the constitutional review bid. Please stay with us. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word.
Hey, Nepa.
Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light from my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, an in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines.
Welcome back to the show. You are still watching Politics Uncensored, and of course we are discussing the local government autonomy and the constitutional review bill. Well, we have Dr. Ambrose here. Unfortunately, we have been having issues getting Olajide on the show, but Dr. Ambrose here has so diligently waited and answered all our questions. So I want to know, Dr. Ambrose, what role do you think that the youth should now play in this whole scenario? Sometimes it feels like we're talking over their heads. It doesn't align directly to what is really happening. I know that for so many things, youths have been called many things, from Buhari calling Nigerians lazy youth, so many other statements in that sense. But the youth will say that they have also been marginalized in that sense from political process and even in, their input in what happens in the government house. So what role do you think that they should play in all of this scenario? Calling Nigerians lazy youth?
I will say I pity the Nigerian youth. One, because at a point, I don't know if it has been restored now, but at a point in the school curriculum, in secondary schools and even in primary schools, history was removed as one of the subjects. So we have a generation of young people now who do not even understand their historical background, who do not know where they are coming from, who don't know what Nigeria used to be like, because they were not given access to history. And that's one of the greatest tragedy that the youths have now. They don't have a sense of history, and they don't have a sense of the developmental strategy and the trajectory that Nigeria has undergone. So, and you said that if you don't know your yesterday, we don't know how you want to face your future. So it's a dilemma. So most of the time when you tell the youth that, oh, there was, there was a time Nigeria used to have Nigeria Airways. We had our own shipping lines. And there were times we were producing our own steel. We had steel plants. We were producing cars, assembling cars here in Nigeria. We were producing batteries, tires, everything. And they start looking at you as if you are speaking Greek. Because they were not even aware of such history. They were not aware of the cocoa, of the palm oil, of the leather and the hides and skin, of the groundnut pyramid. They didn't know all those things because they were denied of those knowledge. And that is a big problem that we are going to be tackling from now on, because when you don't know something that exists, you don't go for it. So you don't even understand the dynamics of the political complexities we are having right now, because they were not able to, be carried along in the exploration of history. So that's a problem. Many of them don't even know what to do. So I think you asked me what they should do. One of the things they should do is that they should not allow the wickedness of our past leaders who stopped history in school to affect them. Perhaps it is time to now do what we call self-discovery. Let them start, looking at how this country came to be, how we, especially the First Republic, how we lived our lives from 1960 to 1960 when it was regional government, and how states were created. What were the reasons? They will now find out that the reasons are not even, what were the local government doing those days? How were the local government able to influence development? Then you can now start, why was it the reasons of the creating of the local government? Why is the creation of local government so lopsided? So that they can start understanding the dynamics. That is just for the sharing of money. That was why local governments were being created. And many people were given many local government, while some people were denied local government. Why do we have so much local governments in the north and have few in the south? So when you understand these dynamics, then you can now start putting up arguments for equity, for fairness, and for, in the context of the present reality, to know how to move forward with the constitutional review. But without that, there's little or nothing they could give. Where's the youth inclusiveness? there was a political party in this country that the youth leader, national youth leader, was 60 years old. You know, if the national youth leader for a political party, national party is 60 years old, where are the youth? So the youth are more, they are more concerned about shenanigans. I mean, they are more concerned about movies, they are concerned about football, they are concerned. Yeah, it's good. This is time for you, but they should also look for time to be concerned about what is happening to them. Because most of them, they think it's not their problem. It's a problem of the parents, the problem of the elders. But it will eventually come to haunt them. Because at the end of the day, they're finished, there's no work, there are no things. Some of them just go through school, they're not employable. These universities don't have anything to teach anymore. Somebody studies computer science for 4 years in university, I have never seen a laptop, cannot even operate a common system, cannot even do a Word document. You know, so these are the, you know, contraptions of tragedy that we have in this country. So if we don't, when we're talking about global, look at our education standard. Many schools don't even have roofs and all those kind of things. Meanwhile, when you watch the social media, you see a lot of, you know, videos where they show the Chinese youngsters, young people learning from the tender age, and then we show our own people what do we do. There's nothing we are doing. We see a lot of them doing prayer warriors in the church. We see a lot of them attending Quranic schools and all those kind of things. Meanwhile, when you go to Saudi Arabia, for example, the Quranic schools have been integrated with global standards. When you go to Europe, you see the missionary schools have been also been, you know, been concocted with STEM and science and all those things. Why can't we bring all those things down here? We don't. We only pick the only aspect that we want, how to, you know, hoodwink the people. So we are in for a very serious trouble, and until we are able to get the political will to address some of these things, the youth will keep on, you know, just you know, groping in this maze of confusion.
So, Dr. Ambrose, I think that what you have summarized is, first, while we must have been taken away from what history says, it's very important that we cite that problem and now start to address it by self-discovering what it is and what history says, so that we can, you know, start to map out what our future is. And maybe I would say that you have also said that the youth should now start getting more involved in what happens in the Constitution, in what happens in our local governments, because just like you mentioned, the parents that you are so dear faulting right now, we would soon become parents at some point, and our kids might now grow up to now start faulting us at a lot of things. I saw in a review, in a constitutional review, where they were insisting that agriculture should be enforced in all schools, so that people can be aware of what agriculture means and how they can be involved in you know, the agricultural process or the agricultural vision that Nigeria has. So I clamored for the fact that history and government should become something that should be compulsory for everyone, to whether you choose to go to science class, commercial class, whatever class from the secondary level that you want to go to, must involve what Nigeria has been and what's the projection for Nigeria, so people can start to tap into what they want to do or how they want to be involved in that process. And beyond just political process, there's the economic advantage of being historically informed about your country. And just like you have, let me say, taught us this morning, you have walked us through what has happened from 1966 up to this point, which a lot of people do not know. So I'm also clamoring alongside you that youths, while I've asked you what you should do, I'm also agreeing that youths, including myself, because I'm also a youth, youth should be very much involved in what happens in the political space. The local government elections in Lagos showed a very obvious flaw, that Lagos State, the local governments are not very well, you know, addressed in that sense, where people just feel that the local government system should not be something that concerns them. But when it comes to the presidential election or the House of Representative election, agitation, there's clamoring, and there's all of that, forgetting that things should start from the grassroots. I also said that maybe there should be a review of the Constitution stating that the local government should no longer be called the third tier of government, but called the first tier of government. So maybe some responsibility can start to move towards that side. And I'm very thankful that you decided to join this conversation. But wrapping it up, I would like you to give your, closing statement at this point. What do you think we should do moving from now, especially when we see that 2027 is just around the corner? Do you think that local government autonomy should be a priority issue, or we should just find a way to make Nigeria work other than going, round and round in circles?
Well, if you have a faulty car, the first thing you do with the faulty car is not to park it and look and buy a new car, especially when you don't have money for a new car. So what do? You start getting to the mechanic. You start, fiddling with one or two things, replacing spare parts and the rest. That is exactly what we are doing with our constitution. We are just replacing the spare parts the parts that have gone bad, and bringing spare, to see how we can, make it work manageably for now. We need a brand new constitution. This constitution is greatly flawed. That is taken. But the greatest complexity of it all is that the constitution, even the way it is, if it is properly implemented, we usher in growth for Nigeria. But it is not properly implemented. So rather than trying to see the best way to use our constitution, what we do at that level is try to see the loopholes and exploit them. And once that mindset is there, no matter the constitution you give to Nigeria, it will continue to have a problem. So just because we have bad drivers does not mean that you allow your car go bad. You can still put the car in good shape, but the driver may continue knocking the engine, but you keep on replacing the engine. That's what we have right now. So that we don't pack our constitution, we must make sure that we keep on managing what we have, improving on them until such a time where we can have a brand new constitution. But at the end of the day, as I said earlier, it is the mindset of us. It is the culture. It is the ideology. It is the ethos that drive us as a people that can make anything work in Nigeria. If you bring a brand new constitution and we are still as evil as we are, and we are still selfish as we are, and we see the country as a plundering field, not a place to grow, then we will continue to have issues.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ambrosio. You ended that conversation very well. Until we start to see each other as our brother's keeper, plain and simple, Nigeria is not going to go anywhere. And at this point, local government autonomy is not just a legal or political issue. It has become an issue that must be discussed on what angle it should. The complexity of it it's as far back as the number of years that you have mentioned. But as the actors, as the chairman of the Actors Guild of Public Affairs Analysts, would you gauge the public sentiment on this issue, and how do you think that we should move forward from now on as we wrap up the show?
Well, the Guild of Public Affairs Analysts, is made up of analysts like me and many others who go on air like this, on radio, TV, on blogs, writing in the newspaper columns and the rest, to have intervention on public issues and governance, analyze governance, and try to see how we can make our recommendations and prescription for good governance. We feel the pulse of the people, and we try to relate that pulse to government. We also try to explain government policies to the people, and try to see how we can, be a bridge between the government and the people, and try to see how we can also hold government accountable so that we can engender growth for Nigeria. Our last thing, we say, okay, Nigerians, this democracy is the only one we have for now. We must make it work. All alternative we have been talking about does not work. All this, we can see what is happening in Mali, Burkina Faso, and after the euphoria, one of them is already saying that he's not going to conduct election again. So we can see that this is not how sound good. Democracy is still our best option, and anything that will make it work, we should encourage it to work. And Nigeria must succeed because we have everything it takes to succeed.
Nigeria must succeed, and we have everything to succeed. And at this point, Nigeria cannot keep pretending to be a federation while local governments operate like bandages of state governors, or where we think that our Our country shouldn't matter to us just because we are marginalized, we're underrepresented, pardon me. So as citizens, we must start to demand more than the rhetoric. If our leaders are really serious about democracy, they must start to empower governance where it matters the most, closer to its people, brought to its people. And as we watch the constitution review process unfold, one thing is clear: power must shift, not upwards, not sideways, but down to the people. This has been Politics Uncensored, and I really appreciate how our viewers, our guests have joined this conversation. Politics Uncensored is about the real talk, the real issues, and I'll see you again next time. Do not forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. Until next time, keep staying informed, keep staying political. We'll see you again on Wednesday. Bye-bye.